Hey everyone, really quick before today's video starts, I just want to give everyone a big thank you for your continued support for this channel throughout the entire year. We've had a lot of success, a lot of the videos have done really well, especially a couple of the reviews that I've put out this year. So I just wanted to take some time and give a very big and sincere thank you to you all. I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for the continued support, and I'm hoping to make 2026 an even better year for this channel. So again, before I start rambling, thank you guys so much. And from my family to yours, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, God bless, and let's continue on with today's show. Have you ever noticed how most game series in the late 80s kind of change things up whenever a sequel comes out? Super Mario Bros. 2 USA is barely recognizable at points as a Mario game. Castlevania 2 turned into a very early version of a Metroidvania. Speaking of Metroid, Return of Samus on the Game Boy changed its structure up as well in comparison to the original. I don't know if it was a fear of getting too stagnant too soon, but sequels weren't always cut from the same cloth as their predecessors back then. And the same can be said for today's topic, Zelda II: The Adventure of Link. Rather than a top-down adventure game, this title was a side-scrolling action RPG. I mean, the original Zelda was really successful when it came out, so why the sudden change to a new gameplay style?
So from the research I did, it seemed like Miyamoto wanted to make a side-scrolling game that could allow someone to do jump strikes and mid-air shield defense, and at first it wasn't going to be a new entry in the Zelda series, so it wasn't designed with the first game in mind. Eventually they decided to have this game star an older Link, and set the game as a sequel to the original Legend of Zelda, and the result was Zelda II: The Adventure of Link. Okay, seriously, why is it just Zelda 2? Why isn't it The Legend of Zelda II: The Adventure of Link? Was it just because everyone called the first game Zelda? Or maybe they wanted to make it more clear that Link was the character you played as and not Zelda?
This is actually the first time I'm going to be fully beating this game, and I honestly have no idea what to expect. I mean, I've heard it's hard, but I'm sure it'll be fine.
It's been a few years since Link defeated Ganon and saved Princess Zelda. Now a young 16-year-old hero, one day he discovers a strange mark on the back of his hand. Impa, after seeing the mark, leads him to a room in the North Castle where, upon opening the door, reveals the sleeping form of Princess Zelda. It should be mentioned that this Zelda is not the same Zelda we saved in the last game. Years ago, this Zelda's brother wanted the complete Triforce, and because she wouldn't reveal the location of the Triforce of Courage, he had his magician friend cast a sleeping spell on her. Filled with remorse, the prince placed her in this room in the castle in hopes that one day she could be woken up, which can only be done with all three pieces of the Triforce, meaning that Link needs to find the Triforce of Courage. Impa gives our hero a map and 6 mysterious crystals, and upon reading the map's unknown language, he learns he must place these crystals in statues in 6 different palaces around the land to open the way to the Great Palace, where the Triforce of Courage lies. Link won't be unopposed on his quest, as he'll run into Ganon's minions who want him dead, as they're planning on using the blood of the hero of Hyrule to resurrect Ganon from his ashes.
Dark.
That's actually kind of messed up for a Nintendo game at this point in time. I guess that explains their aggressiveness as you move through the game, but I'm jumping a bit ahead here. Like the first game, you're free to name Link anything you want, but for this video, I decided to let my buddy Pat name Link. So now it's time for the adventure of Bill. So yeah, we're in a side-scroller now. Link is still rocking his sword and shield from the last game, but all the tools he had after beating Ganon are just gone. It's a shame too, because I think having some of those tools at your disposal would really help in the long run. Link, control-wise, feels pretty good to play as, honestly. He can actually jump now and can swing his sword in the air, but my only issue is his traction feels a bit slippery, and that can lead me to running into enemies a lot of the time. If you're at full health, you can still shoot sword beams at enemies, but I only found this useful for taking out smaller enemies, because I swear it doesn't do much at all against the bigger threats. Link now has a magic meter that he can use to cast different spells that will aid you on your quest, all having some sort of use at some point in time. Fighting certain old men in towns will net you these spells, but not all of them will just teach you for free. For example, in order to get the spell in the mountain town of Darunia, you need to save this woman's child from a cave on Maze Island. Villagers will give more useful hints in comparison to the ones from the old men in the first game. There's still a bit of ambiguity to their dialogue. I'm not sure where exactly these people were in the last game, but their presence is welcome all the same. You could even run into a few knight characters that'll teach you the upward and downward thrusts. I love using the downward thrust to bounce on enemies, sort of the same feeling I get whenever I bounce off of things in Shovel Knight. Upon defeating enemies this go around, you'll get experience points, and by earning enough you'll eventually level up. You can upgrade your health, your magic, and your attack damage, however level ups are in a linear cycle, so you'll always upgrade health first, then magic, then attack power, and then it repeats. My only problem is that by the late game, levels can take a lot of experience to level up, so don't be surprised if you find yourself needing to grind before the end of the game. There are a few locations with these P bags around the overworld that will give you some extra experience, and they can drop from enemies on occasion, so pick these up whenever you see them.
What do you think is in the mystery bag, children? If I had to guess, it's probably some D&D dice, but it's probably Coke.
Your main gameplay loop is vastly different from the original game, as there aren't any walls you can bomb or bushes you can burn, and hell, the only use for the candle in this game is to light up all the caves. Instead, you'll traverse the open world to look for villages and other secrets that may be in hiding. Whether it's caves that contain heart or magic expansions, or challenges that will get you to the next area, there is still a bit of that sort of exploration from the original still retained here. Palaces in comparison to Zelda 1's dungeons are sorta similar, although there aren't any compasses or maps to find. You just need to find keys that'll open doors to get you through the palace in order to find the dungeon item and get to the room with the boss. And there isn't really a lot of puzzle solving here, less so than in the first Zelda game. Seems simple, right? Well, to compensate for that, the developers decided to make this one of the hardest fucking games you'll ever play on the NES. At the very least, it's the hardest Zelda game in the whole series. Holy shit, where do I start? Well, first off, enemies are either the lowest form of fodder, extremely offensive, or incredibly defensive, sometimes all of the above. The difficulty hits you as soon as you get to the first palace with the introduction to the Iron Knuckles. They block strikes above and below the knees with their shield, but they can be taken out after a bit with a few well-timed jump strikes. The same palace also throws Goombas at you. Yeah, because that's what I needed after playing Lost Levels, Zelda's version of fucking Hammer Brothers. Secondly, the difficulty curve is all over the fucking place. Death Mountain doesn't ease you into the halfway point, it drags you kicking and screaming through each and every cave, occasionally stopping to peg you to death. You have to go in and out of so many caves to get to the next town, and there are so many enemies waiting inside to take you out. Like, for fuck's sake, this is the Hyrule Warriors, assholes! Get your scales out of my face before I make you into a new pair of boots!
I just got these J's, they fresh out the box.
Thirdly, this game could be super punishing, especially in comparison to the first game. If you die in palaces, you'll at least respawn in the room you died, but you lose one of your lives. If you get a game over, you're free to continue on from there, and you'll keep any level up upgrades you currently have, but as a consequence, your current experience resets to 0 and you respawn back at Hyrule Temple. That is horseshit! This is already a game that will not hesitate to frustrate you thanks to annoying enemy formations and deaths via knockback, so the fact that a game over sends you back to the beginning of the fucking game, no matter how much progress in the overworld you made, is complete and utter bullshit! I don't consider the original Legend of Zelda to be that hard. It could be annoying, yeah, but with time I think you can manage to beat the game pretty comfortably if you know what you're doing. With Zelda 2, you need to master the mechanics and learn the best way to take care of enemies. With this in mind, I would recommend you play this game with a guide, much like Zelda 1. While this game isn't as non-linear as the first game, you need to take every advantage that's available to you if you want to make it out in a positive mental state. As I mentioned earlier, Link will be able to get certain spells that will help him on his quest. First, there's the shield spell that increases Link's defense by half. This can make encounters much more bearable, so use it when you can. The jump spell is mostly used to further explore into Hyrule, but you can also use it in certain encounters. I like to use it to run away like the pussy I choose to be. The life spell is a double-edged sword for me. It recovers 3 of Link's heart segments at any time, but it costs so much magic. And in early game, using the life spell is like taking a sledgehammer to your kneecaps in a marathon. I'm usually using the shield spell instead. The fairy spell turns Link into a fairy, but this is exclusively a traversal spell, and you can't use it to skip as much as you think. The fire spell lets Link shoot fireballs from his sword, but I don't think I ever used it in my playthrough. It's the only way to damage Tektites and Zoras, but I usually just jumped over most of them to move on. The reflect spell lets Link reflect Wizrobe's magic projectiles back at them, and it can let Link block certain projectiles that he couldn't previously. I only used the spell once to summon this building in the hidden town of Kasuto, but I guess you can use it to turn certain enemies into bots, so... alright.
Father, help!
Finally, there's the Thunder spell, which uses the most magic and is pretty much a screen nuke, but I never used it for that purpose. More on that later, though. These spells will not only let Link explore deeper into Hyrule, but will also allow him to actually survive, because these enemies, I'll stress again, are brutal. You can encounter a new enemy in a room of a palace, and then you can encounter the more difficult version of it a few rooms later, and all enemies in this game are super aggressive. These lizard guys block almost every strike you throw at them, and the red ones hit like monster trucks. The blue Iron Knuckles are incredibly annoying to fight up close because of the little daggers they throw out. Speaking of, putting this guy in front of the boots in Palace 4 is a dick move, game. There are these unicorn heads that move around like the Medusa heads in Castlevania, ready to kill you via knockback, And I'm sorry, I didn't wake up today expecting to fight the fucking Ku Klux Klan in a Zelda game. I'm pretty sure you fight the Grand Wizard at one point too. I mean, I knew Ganon was evil, but that's a little on the nose, isn't it? Thankfully, the shield and life spells help make things a bit more manageable, but you want to be careful, especially with how much magic the life spell uses. Running out of magic means you either gotta rely on RNG to find one of these magic containers from enemies, find a hidden one in statues and palaces, backtrack to a town to refill the meter, or throw yourself at enemies to lose a life and reset your resources. Take me, please. Go for the nipples first. I know I've been complaining a lot during this review, but I did want to take some time to give this game the credit it deserves. I stated early on that Link feels really good to control, which in turn makes the game a bit easier for me to digest. Secondly, I do like the overworld exploration in this game, since you don't need to bomb every wall or burn any bushes. It makes exploring some areas and going through some caves feel rewarding, especially when I find something like a heart or a magic container, or an extra life to keep me one step from a game over. I can go without how often overworld enemy encounters can be, but enemies from these random encounters aren't too difficult. Thirdly, some enemies in this game are really fun to fight. I can reasonably take on any Iron Knuckle that isn't blue and feel good about it, and the same thing goes for some of the bosses. I say some of because a few of these guys could be pretty annoying, even with the shield and life spells. I think the graphics are overall an improvement. The color palette doesn't seem like it's changed too much from Zelda 1, but I really like the sprite work for this game. Enemies' environments look really good here, but I will say some of the wall patterns in a few of the palaces make my head hurt. I enjoy the music of this game too, but I wish they picked NES instruments with less twangy sounds. This isn't a problem for the Famicom version, so what the hell, guys? My favorite track in this game is the Palace theme, though that might be because of my nostalgia for Super Smash Bros. Melee. The dungeon items don't have as much focus as noted earlier. The candle only lights up caves this time, but you're going to need it. The handy glove lets Link break the stone blocks that fill most rooms in various palaces. The raft only takes you to Eastern Hyrule and nowhere else. The boots let Link cross the ocean in a very specific section to reach the Palace of the Sea and a heart container. The flute scares away this river devil that blocks the last region of the game and reveals the last normal palace, and the cross reveals these eyeball guys in the ruins of Kasudo and the Valley of Death. Yeah, there's straight up a cross item in this game. This is something I hadn't mentioned until now, but early on in the development of the Zelda series, Miyamoto wanted the main religion of Hyrule to be Christianity. That's why Link has a cross on his shield in the original game. The Book of Magic may as well be a Bible, and there's official artwork for A Link to the Past featuring Link kneeling before a crucifix. As a Christian myself, I do find it kind of funny that this was the original intention, and considering the added lore of the Golden Goddesses and Hylia in later games, it just makes the inclusion of these elements more hilarious in hindsight. Once you get your hands on the Thunder Spell, you can start making your way to the final area of the game, the Great Palace. But it's not the Great Palace itself you should worry about, it's getting to the Great Palace that will make you want to break your controller over your fucking knee. I like to dub this part of the game not as the Valley of Death, but rather Miyamoto's Dick Smasher. There are so many battle instances through the path, most of them with these little bastards ready to knock you into lava pits while you're trying to take out these asshole lizards. By the time I got to the Great Palace, I was on my last life at death's doorstep. And here's the pisser! If you get a game over in the Great Palace, you respawn back at the entrance of the Great Palace and not at Hyrule Temple. I'm thankful that I don't have to worry about restarting from the beginning again, but this goes to prove that they could have done this from the start and decided to just be douchebags about it. The Great Palace is massive, just like Ganon's dungeon in Zelda 1, and it has a lot of the same issues as Ganon's dungeon. Plenty of dead ends and some of the hardest and most annoying enemies in the game. There are these hopping red birds that shoot fire at you that are a bit of a pain, and then there's these assholes. They're essentially blue iron knuckles that will chase you down with a fucking vengeance, constantly flinging projectiles and jumping like a crack addict. Holy hell, this place is a— yeah! Oh, I guess we're doing the random enemy spawn thing now, assholes! This palace will fucking test you, and if you run out of magic in a place like this, you're pretty much fucked. There are a few places that you can get a magic pod to spawn, but that'll only help you so much, because the last thing you want to be doing is grinding enemies for magic in this place. The final boss is this guy right here, the Thunderbird. But before you can start hitting him, you need to use the Thunder Spell. Just like the Silver Arrows in the first game, you need the Thunder Spell to beat the final boss. That stupid requirement aside, this boss isn't too bad actually. I think it's a nice challenge, and it's by no means cheap. I don't know, maybe I'm just tired of bitching at this point, but I'm just ready to move on to other games. I mean, hell, in this clip you can hear how done I was by Palace 5.
I want him to die.
He wants you to die too.
I want him to. I want him to die.
Just Tevi, silence for minutes, and then just, I want him to die.
And yeah, there were a few points where I used the rewind feature, but I wanted to get a move on. There are other things I want to do in my life, you know? Once you take Thunderbird out, you head to the final room in the back, where this old man will give you a final challenge. Yourself. Yeah, the true final boss is against the first appearance of Dark Link.
Welcome, brave hero. You've proven your courage to reach this place. I offer a final challenge to truly prove yourself worthy of the Triforce of Courage.
Got it.
Hey, Bass.
Yeah, I know it's a cheap strategy to beat him like this, but I just want to move on to other games, man. It just feels like way too much for the player to get to the Great Palace, maneuver through the dungeon, defeat the Thunderbird, and Dark Link. A man's patience has its limits, folks. With the Triforce of Courage in his possession, Link uses the completed Triforce to wake Zelda from her eternal slumber, and he is handsomely rewarded for his efforts. Man, that is the quickest S support I have ever seen. Zelda II is... it's hard for me to really put into words. It's definitely the black sheep of the franchise, considering how different it is from other entries in the series. I think Link is fun to play as, and I do enjoy the swordplay and magic system, as limited as both can be at times. The difficulty is this game's biggest flaw to me, as while there are certain points I feel both challenging and fair, there's just too much old school NES bullshit that keeps it from being a truly great time for me. If you're a fan of games kicking you in the balls with high amounts of difficulty, then by all means play this game. Actually, if you're a fan of classic Castlevania, then go ahead and give this a shot. Though I'd say that the original Castlevania is miles better than this game. I don't think this is one you absolutely need to experience if you're a big fan of the franchise. This is definitely a one and done Zelda for me. But I'm still happy that I was able to cross this off my gaming bucket list.
It's nice to finally have the first two games under my belt, and I know I still have a couple stragglers left, like Four Swords Adventures and Echoes of Wisdom, and then all the handheld games and things like that, but I think we can save those for another time. With that being said, I'm ready to move on to my next marathon, so with that being said, I'll see you guys next time when I take a look at the... Did I forget to pay the electric bill again? Oh, the Christmas tree is still on. That's weird. I don't remember getting the one with the lights installed. Oh, shit.